Good morning. This is a Sunday, 7th of September, and then we're doing our first weekly review on the Me versus Me challenge. So what do I do on the weekends? Well, today we're supposed to do a quick roundup and a quick review of what we did last week. And we're gonna review the trades we took last week, how we reacted to the move, and then we're gonna set up for the next week. And we're gonna also have a quick review on our overall statistics that go with it. So let's jump right in. Now, last week was a very straightforward week, as all trending weeks are. Let's have a recap. We knew that Friday was ending in a uptrend. So once we started Monday with such a big Asia, the first intuition is it's got to slow down a little bit before pushing. But given the 2,300 pips range, I had expected that the price would dip back before going up. Whether or not the price touched the aqua was up for debate. Likely, unlikely. In this case, because it's such a strong trend, I would tend to think that after pushing off from Asia, it wasn't going to touch again until my trade TPs. And certainly it did. Then to come Tuesday, where we had another 2,300 pip range to target for Asia, and I decided to take a skip. Logic being that it would need to come back to 9 and probably the 27 before pushing off again. So I had spotted the entry for a buy on London, which is around there, and it would have completed within a couple of hours, and it would have continued out of London and Asia. So this was the trade I missed, and I knowingly missed because I came to London and said, okay, I don't want to risk it today because Asia would have been wiped out from 2,500 pips coming down. But it's very unlikely that the sell would have continued, so the buyer was still preferable. So I took a paper trade. I noted that it took 2.5 hours to TP, and it was a very beautiful London trade. Same to the London trade on Monday. It would have taken about 3 hours. Asia trades, because of a big range, has been taking quite a bit longer. So come Wednesday, when the price formed Asia with such a small body and long wicks up, again, we chose to defer our entry to London, expecting a dip to happen before the pips came. And what happened was the price consolidated above, and we took the trade at London, which is about the same level as Asia, but we took it at a smaller range. So our lot size went up, and we finished our trade within 2 hours. Asia would have finished up there maybe 2 hours later. One thing to note was I had made an accident here where I took accidental partials. I left the trade manager on, so I disabled the trade manager already, and now we're taking full TP, full losses. Thought that, full risk. This setup is so good. Next, here we have a small short trade. It was just to keep the accounts live, 10 pips and out. So again, because of the push on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I wasn't too keen on taking the Asia entry here. I put that in a note in our pre-session on Thursday. So what happened instead was, again, we waited for London, and it was a higher entry point because Asia literally just tapped Wednesday low and also our magenta. So we're actually trading within Asia range, and we TP'd that within the hour. This was a negative slip. The price went to the top, tapped my TP, and then it closed below. So I lost 0.2R. I got 0.8 instead of 1. Not fussed about it, just odd. And then this was Friday coming to NFP. And knowing that this was NFP and knowing that the previous day Asia range was still trading within, I was very clear and keen that we're not taking buys at the break of highs. And we're only taking it from after the price formed support. So that's what I did. I waited for the price to continue up, and I waited for London session to form, which is around there. and then it left the white candle up, which is great because it helped us take the buy for NFP. And there was a lot of more pips where that was. And in fact, this NFP gave me a positive slip. So whatever I lost on Thursday, whatever I didn't quite TP on Thursday, I got it back on Friday. So net was actually 4 wins for 4R, there or thereabouts. And here's the report. 4, 4, 4, and 3 wins and 1 accidental partial, giving 3.94. What did I do right this week? A lot of process focus, a lot of routine focus, and even that, like some of the routine weren't executed to the highest degree, but I feel that it was less about getting a perfect score, but more about just showing up and being consistent about showing up. And the pre-market recordings has definitely helped. Trying to find the time of the day just to sit down to do a 10-minute talk one-on-one to the camera really helped. Mistakes where I need to improve, well, it's just that one risk that I chose not to take. It could have meant that I would have 5R, or it could have meant that I could have 3R this week. Makes not a big difference. The fact is, I needed to turn up, and I wouldn't classify that as a C game because I'd still committed to taking a paper trade. Now, what are my goals for the next week? I think physically and sort of like health-wise, I kind of am average this week. I didn't go for a run. I didn't do enough stretches, so my body's a bit stiff. So I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen again next week. I'm making sure that I do one run at some point in the week, probably on a Monday, otherwise on a Wednesday. We're gonna do quite a bit of stretches this week whenever I can, and I'm gonna do proper lower back workout just to get my core strong. Trading management wise, we're gonna enable 2 more accounts, 2 more challenges, which I already have on deck. So just getting the machine rolling, and with the 4 good executions this week, we're going for 20. But as the executions pile up, and as we're more in tune with the process, we're going to enable all our funded accounts back again. So at this moment in time, last week, we could say that, hey, you're not trading live, you're not trading funded. Is that going to be an issue, like when you really trade funded? I will find out. But the way I look at it is, I just need to follow my processes. I need to follow all the spreadsheets. I need to put in the data, and then I'm going to get the rewards. There's no 2 ways about it. So those are my habits. That's my daily scorecard. So daily scorecard is more of a reflection of how well I have executed my trades, and the habits is about how well I've maintained myself as a trader. So trading wise is kind of good, but as a trader, I need to improve personally, my personal development. Now, let's close out today's weekly reflection with a review of how this week has went against the data that has been before. So this was my last 12 months, and you can see that it's just peppered with ups and downs. I did September all right, and so far I've already nearly equaled last September's performance in terms of dollar amount. I'm taking 1% this year. I think last year I did 0.5% maybe. Not quite sure. Don't quite care. But one thing I want to point out is I've been actually doing a lot of over trading, as you can see here. In my trading logs, I've checked it in my 04 here, and we're showing that we're taking, I think, hold on, let me get the other logbook out. So there's about 10 trades in September, 10 logged. But execution-wise, I was very lenient with myself, and I allowed myself to take more than I'm supposed to take. So from 10, it became 44. And that amounted to a 55% overtrade. Why is it not 75? Is because I'm allowed 2 trades a day. So out of those 10 trades, 10 log trades, there was a second chance later in London. So it's a 55% based on I've went through trade by trade, line by line, and I've vetted the trades based on my setup. So I'm only allowing one trade per session, whether it be on time, late, or early. So starting with this September, one of the goals I have is to be on time with my setup and to never be late with the setup. And should that come, I will just totally skip it. So another thing I want to point out is the delta this month is so far on point. I was slipped for one trade, actually two trades. One was under, one was over. It turned out to be par, and I had a mistake with the partial. So far this month has been on point. I can't complain about it, but I really want to remind myself that there are variations in the results. And as you can see here, July, I hit a very high 21K, but that's at the expense of 104 trades, which is not quite right. And subsequently, the next month, I went into a big drawdown, and I'm still trying to work out of that this month. Certainly, I don't want to go through another 3 months of red, and I want to create that momentum from that September, and I want to see maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 consistent months. Whether or not they're green, it's beyond my control. But I know that once I control my number of trades, and you can see the months that I do well, it's the months that I have below 30 trades. Above 30 trades, it's anyone's guess. So error rate is something that is my measure of how well I have executed that setup. And you can see the months where it goes red, and those months are the ones that I do have the most losses. And the green months are the ones that I turn a profit. Simple as that. So far this month, I've got 0 errors because the market's pretty easy. So before we go, how are we going to set up for next week? It's been a very big week, 15,000 pips and 15,000 points, 1,500 pips for those that do gold and that way. And we're going to open there or thereabouts next week up there. This purple line was the previous high from April, previous all-time high, and we're into a new all-time high. So what, we're going to sell? That's not my setup. We're going to continue taking buys until we see a confirmed failure of a resistance. And so far, that ain't happening yet. So we'll let the market play out on Asia again this coming Monday. I know the value for Asia is 2.9K. And the value for London coming on Monday is going to be 1345. So yeah, we'll be back in 24 hours and we'll see what the execution is. Likelihood is going to be a buy. And ideally, we want to buy from the lower levels, from Wednesday high, Thursday high. So we're hoping that the price retraces before it gives us a push up again. So that would be it for today in my first weekly review of the Me versus Me challenge. It's 4 wins, 4%. It's been a good week. So on to the next week. I'll see you guys in the next stream tomorrow morning, bright and early.